forth, and you then next month you go to pay that bill and you kind of have the sticker shock. We need to realize that this is put upon us by our legislators. It is not because the price of coal has gone up. It is not because producing electricity per se is more expensive. It's because our legislature has demanded that PNM use wind and solar, which are as much as 5 times more expensive than the coal-fueled electricity that is what we have traditionally used in this state, because we have an abundance of coal here.
You know, Marita, by the way, folks, they just got the internet service back up. I got all my data back up.
All of a sudden, your screens are lit up again, huh?
You know, I Googled you, and it was just unbelievable. You know, I've got 3 solid pages of people talking about you. I mean, in all of your speaking engagements, I saw the great picture where you're there with the sand dune lizard, and that was a great day. I loved that flag. I was so proud to help hang that flag there in that hangar that day. We just can't believe all those firefighters. We just we cradled that thing and babied that thing. But that was such a great day.
It was.
To have so many great speakers and people get up and even have a prayer around there. It was just there was only one person in that whole crowd that was a vocal dissenter, and I actually felt sorry for him because it was like having about a gazillion lasers pointed right at your chest. I don't know what that guy was thinking, but anyway, he spoke it out a little bit. But everybody there was just very kind, very courteous, and very patriotic. I mean, you could tell folks really, really cared about New Mexico. Yes,
and there in your neck of the woods in Cloudcroft back in September 17th, where we had the Otero County Tree Party rally. It was a similar circumstance. There was one guy who was there holding a sign in opposition to what the whole group was about, and as I spoke at that rally, I addressed him specifically, and I said to him, were you at that rally, Harvey?
I didn't make it. I couldn't be there. I had a conflict.
Okay, well, at that rally, probably some of your listeners were there, I said to that guy, I want you to realize here that in America, you can do that. You can stand in this crowd, in a room full of people who disagree with you, and you can hold up that sign, and you are safe. And but it's not like if you were in Egypt or you were in Syria. You can speak out your dissension here in America. You can be in a room full of people who disagree with you, and not a one of them is going to hurt you. And that's the great thing about America, is that we can voice our opinions. But the key thing that my current column that's in townhall.com, it will be in the Energy Tribune today. In fact, it's probably up now. They put it up about noon Texas time, and that column, the point of my column about the sand dune lizard and the delay of the listing of the sand dune lizard is really to encourage citizens, encourage folks that, you know what, your calls matter, your emails matter, you showing up at a rally and waving a sign matters, because historically these endangered species listings have just sailed right through because they've been presented in such a way that, who could not want to save the critter? But I've been communicating with a gentleman from the Family Farm Alliance, the executive director, Dan Keppen, and he and I have been communicating about what the devastation that previous Endangered Species Act listings have done to family farming and the Delta smelt in Central California, the spring run something or other Chinook salmon that they're trying to list right now. And he gave me a quote for this article, and he said, had the people of this region where this particular salmon is, had they realized what damage it was going to do to their economy, they would have fought the listing doubly hard. And those people were being told then the same thing that the people in the Permian Basin are being told now. Oh, Congressman Pierce is trying to scare you with the talk of jobs being decimated, the economy being ruined, and that's what the other side is saying. If you read the Center for Biological Diversity's press release about this sand dune lizard listing delay, that's the kind of stuff that they are saying. And he says this is the exact same thing they told them back then. And had they realized what it was going to do to their economy, they would have fought doubly hard. And in fact, we're talking about having another big rally before this 6-month listing extension is up. and this gentleman, Dan Keppen, may come and speak at the rally to share what's really happened in other parts of the country where these endangered species listings have gone through, to say, you know what, these are not scare tactics. This is the reality of what some of these endangered species listings can do to the local economy.
You know, I'm not sure that everybody gets a grip on that at times. You know, we get this song and dance, and you know what, Marita, you're an exception because there's many exceptions, but you're an exception to the rule because you're not afraid to stand up. You research, you write well. But a lot of folks are timid, they're bashful, they don't want to get involved, or they're scared and they're afraid to. They're afraid, and you know what? And some of this goes back to repercussions too. What's this going to do? I don't want to direct attention to myself. I mean, people really do think these thoughts, even in America.
Well, and sadly, they have good reason to think these thoughts. The Center for Biological Diversity, for example, has threatened me with a lawsuit for defamation because I've exposed them for who they really are and what they're really all about. And, you know, most people are not willing to take that on, and I have to say it scared the dickens out of me when they first approached me with this. They actually, their executive director phoned me and told me that I had to stop talking about this stuff or that they were going to file a lawsuit against me. And, you know, they may still do that, but they've not done it so far. But not everybody's willing to take that kind of stand. And you know what? That's okay. This is what I do, and I feel passionate about it. But people can still make a difference. They don't have to be as vocal as I am. They don't have to stand up. In my articles that I write every week, my column, I try to give the citizens talking points. I try to give them an understanding so that they can, and alert them to when they should write a letter or send an email or do a phone call. And one of the things I've learned, and again, I don't come from this background as we talked about earlier, so I have no history with any of this. But what I've learned is that people are afraid to call their congressman or call their senator's office because they're afraid they're going to get into a debate with the senator, for example. Well, you know what? When you call Senator Bingaman's office or Senator Udall's office or your Congressman Pierce's office, you're not going to get them. You're going to get a 22-year-old staffer who's all they're going to do is, you know, listen to what you say and write down your name and that you called and put a check mark in the column of which side of the issue that you were on. So for people listening, I really encourage you to be involved, even if it's just send an email or make a phone call. And you don't have to be an expert on the topic. You just have to make the call. And I'm sure most everybody has heard when there's big issues pending, you hear on the news the senators, the congressmen saying, our phone lines have been flooded. We've shut down they shut down when Rush Limbaugh tells people to call in on something. They shut down the switchboard. It's a Congress because they have so many calls that come in, and that tells them, you know what, this is an issue the public cares about. So it's really important that people do actually make the call, send the email, send the print letter, send the fax, whatever it may be, because we do make a difference.
No doubt about it, and you shouldn't hesitate to call. Marita, I want to get your take on. I know this is out of the structure of the energy thing, but I want to get your take on redistricting because it is so critical. And you live out in kind of central east New Mexico, right? You live out not really north, not really south. You're kind of out in eastern.
Yeah, I'm in the mountains east of Albuquerque.
Yeah. How big an impact? I mean, obviously you're close, and you hear a lot of people talking about this. What do you think of this plan? What do you think of Judge Hall? Do you think we're going to try to have a fair and balanced thing? I mean, he's already made one ruling that they had access to all the notes and directions to Brian Sandroff. I found that fairly enlightening.
Well, it's really important that this redistricting be done right and fair, and that what it does is it gives us a representation. Where I live, I happen to live in a really conservative, Republican-based area, and there's been talk of lumping us in with the Santa Fe district. Well, whoever gets voted in there is not going to represent us adequately or accurately, and so it really is imperative that this redistricting issue be handled correctly.
folks, 258-1386, we're talking to Marita Noon here, and she, by the way, how many, you've written 19 books?
Well, actually, Energy Freedom is my 20th book, but it is my first in the public affairs, political genre. My previous books are all Christian personal growth books.
That's incredible. That is incredible. Well, I'm looking forward to reading this book because I like your style. Folks, if you're waiting on Marita, you're backing up. She pretty much gets up on the podium and tells you the way the cow ate the cabbage, and she's done her research. And I found, I tell you what you said to the crowd over in the hangar in Roswell and the rally over the sand dune lizard, and they've had, and I have to tell you, they had a little bit of fun with that down in Artesia. I mean, when the guys were set up there doing chicken course, they were saying, get your, they had signs up that didn't say chicken on them.
They were giving us chicken tenders on a stick, and they were taking them off the barbecue grill going, lizard on a stick, tastes like chicken, lizard on a stick. They did have a little fun with that. In all honesty, though, if it hadn't been for human beings, I don't think those animals down there would be surviving now. I think, like in many cases, I think because of the strides and what people who care about the environment have done, and I'm talking about oil and gas people. I'm talking about farmers. I'm talking about people who really do care. The ranchers, because you're not going to devastate. You're not going to devastate, the thing that keeps giving you back to your livelihood. I mean, it's just. No, there were some practices in the past that were detrimental, but people didn't. Some of the overgrazing, for example, that has taken place historically, but people learned from that. They realized when they overgrazed, then their cows didn't have anything to eat next year, and so they've changed their policies and practices to where they are much more friendly. So I'm not saying by any means that there's no need for regulation. Saying, and I get accused of that, the environmentalists say, that I talk about we should have no regulations. No. Saying we should have no regulations would be the same as saying we should have no stop signs, we should have no speed limits, we should have no red lights and green lights. And that's craziness. But where we are now is kind of like having a red light camera at every single intersection. We've gone way overboard on the regulations, and they're driving up prices and hurting jobs in this country. Not just a red light camera, but a barricade going into the intersection. You're stopping progress. You're stopping, And I agree with you about overgrazing. I agree with you about clear cutting timber because I grew up in Colorado. And I know, and I remember, and I see, and it's just barely coming back after 40, 50 years, 60 years of that. But you know what? I tell you, to on the other side of that, some of those roads, some of that growth, and look at what I always point out what the Mescalero Apache Reservation's doing with their forest program. It's primo, and plus you have a few roads where folks can actually get back. You can get back and see the wildlife. You can recreate. And it's not such a bad thing, and there's a lot of places around here that you just can't get to, and, and I got to tell you, in the last decade, I haven't been camping once in New Mexico, Marita. And why is that? I don't know. Part of it's access. I mean, I just feel like I can't get to the backcountry easily. I'm a big guy, too, I'm not thinking about the older folks, and Congressman Pierce brought this up about his mom, Walker and stuff. They need a way to get back and recreate. But there's times that folks just unable to do that, and I'm inclined to agree with him. We ought to be able to use and recreate our mountains, and I realize there's a need for some habitat and wildlife area. Hey, listen, I helped log Eureka wildlife up near Cuesta in 1973, 74 to provide for elk habitat. I mean, we went in there and logged that specifically with a plan. And it is just phenomenal today. You just can't. You go back in there, and it's absolutely so beautiful, and the elk are so healthy, and the grasslands and the timber. It blows me away. And they did that with a plan. Why can't we have good plans like that?